Boker Tov. So yesterday we gave some exceptions to the enactment of Rabbeinu Gershom, whether 10 years of marriage without children, or a woman who's become insane, and so on. Perhaps the most famous exception, or perhaps not exception but permissibility with Rabbeinu Gershom, is what's called the Heter Mea Rabbanim, when there are 100 rabbis who agree that in these circumstances it's appropriate for a man to marry a second wife. So this concept is not written in Rabbeinu Gershom, but already in the Rishonim we find this idea that even Rabbeinu Gershom, who made this strict harem, would agree that, and these are the details given, if you have 100 rabbanim from 3 kehilot and from 3 different states or from 3 different cities, and they all are in agreement that the circumstances are that it would be appropriate and correct for a man to be able to marry a second wife for whatever the reason is, then you would be allowed to marry a second wife if 100 Rabbanim agree to this. So firstly, what does 100 Rabbanim mean? So already the poskim right, it doesn't have to be literally 100 rabbis, fully ordained and fully competent. It can even be the poskim right, even like a reverend, or we have in Britain at least, like you have a reverend, someone who officiates at funerals and at weddings, and like a minister kind of. Even that would suffice. It doesn't have to be 100 proper, fully Talmidei Hachamim, but 100 people who understand halakha, who appreciate halakha. That's number one. Number two, it needs to be from 3 different aratzot, 3 different states. In America, that's clear, and presumably in other countries as well, 3 different cities. And even if you have these 100 people from 3 different cities who have now come together to one place, they still have to be from 3 different communities. When you have this, when you have 100 learned people who come from 3 different cities and from 3 different communities, then it is permissible, if they all deem it's appropriate to do so, to allow a man to marry a second wife. And let's take the example we gave yesterday of a man who married a woman when she was fully sane, everything's fine, so the kiddushin is hal, the kiddushin is valid and works. And then during the course of the marriage, that woman became unable to receive a get, and that means she's now become insane. She's unable to have the da'at, to have the understanding to what it means to receive a get. In such a case, you cannot divorce her. And if you're going to keep the head of Rabbeinu Gershom, this will mean as long as this person is alive, you're going to be unable to marry another person. And so in such a case like that, some of the poskim are of the opinion that no, there's no enactment at all, because it's such a extenuating circumstance. But the majority of the poskim, and this is the halakha today, what's taken on, is that in such a case we still need Mea Rabbanim, the heter of having 100 people to come together and rule that under these circumstances it is appropriate for this person to be able to go and marry a second wife. Of course, one can't be in contravention of civil and secular law, and so one would have to divorce legally and civilly. But in the eyes of halakha, in the eyes of Torah, that person is still married to that woman, and he's unable to divorce her halachically. But nonetheless, he would still be able to marry a second wife with the heter mea rabbanim, with heter of 100 rabbis. And this still happens nowadays. It's it's not so common, but it does happen. Next time, when there's discussion of with regards to Sfaradim and how this applies nowadays, even in Western countries.